I need an anointed procession, and by I need, I mean I want one to replace the proxy that's in my Brenard Gingerbread Infinite but not quite Infinite Golem deck. So when I saw the Raining Cats and Dogs Secret Lair deck was going to have an anointed procession in it, a card that is selling for $30 to $40, I was like, maybe this is a good value pickup for me. But then I saw that the deck was 150 English pounds, 149.99, which I kind of knew it was that price, but I hadn't really considered or cared about it until I realized that I might have wanted it. Let's talk about that in today's video. Have you ever wanted to learn to code, but it felt like it was a chore, all ones and zeros, and weirdly shaped brackets that look like a sideways nippled teat? Well, maybe you can with boot.dev, where you can learn to code and learn computer science through a hands-on project within Python. The folks at boot.dev believe the smartest way to learn to code is to make it fun. So in order to ward off the boredom, they've created boot.dev, a self-paced coding teaching tool that looks to evoke the ideas and the feels of a role-playing game. It will get you writing actual code and reward you as you proceed with XP, levels, achievements and quests that all feed into global leaderboards. And they really want you to feel like you're getting a rewarding experience for your money, offering a free demo for every course and its interactive features, as well as a 30-day money-back guarantee. Hit the link in the description box below and use my code PleasantKenobi to get 25% off your first payment for boot.dev. That's 25% off your first month or year, depending on your choice. Thanks to boot.dev for sponsoring this video. It's Raining Cats and Dogs is a Secret Lair deck, an entire precon coming directly from Secret Lair for $149.99. And that's pounds, dollars or euros depending on where you live. Let's unpack that for a moment. So if you bought it for $150 in the US, that's £118. You're getting it for like 30 quid cheaper than we do in the UK. And if you bought it in euros, 149.99 euros, you're paying £128.29. So £21-ish. Cheaper than we get in the UK. I don't really get why this is the case. I know conversion rates exist, but I don't know why we always pay a premium here in the UK for everything. If it's because of shipping, then the shipping on the website that says free shipping over £75 is not in fact free. We are paying for it. And if it's just because the country is affluent or some shit, well, does that even make sense? America's doing pretty well as a country, right? I just don't understand, and I think it's bollocks, and I dislike it. So let's talk about what you get for your 150 US dollars, euros, or English pounds. On screen right now, you'll see a deck list that we've pulled from Goldfish. This is just, Goldfish gives you prices on screen, so it's very easy to look at current price. And in it, there are only 5 reprints that are worth more than $10. The first is Brimaz, King of Ereskos, a $17 card apparently, which is crazy. I think I own like 15 of these fucking things. So I loved Brimaz back in the day. Played them in Standard, played them in Modern, played them in Legacy. I've got a border extended painted one. Brimaz is my boy. However, the only reason he's $17 is because he just hasn't been reprinted. Brimaz is quite literally only good in the Cats Matters decks. So he was printed in Born of the Gods 9 years ago, which means this is 9 years later we're getting a reprint, or almost 10 actually, and finally he's going to drop in price. This is because his price is high because of a scarcity of the existing card, not because lots of people want him. Next up we have Quasali Slingers, which is basically the same thing. Again, it's a reasonable magic card, but at 5 mana it doesn't really fit anywhere else other than the Cats Matters decks, or decks that make a lot of cats, and it only saw one print in Commander products up until now, in Commander 2017. So that's 2016, so that was, what's that? Another 7 years ago. That means that card is not going to hold its value either. And this isn't all about the value of the cards inside, but I think when you're spending £150 on a deck, this is a question we have to ask. Next on the docket is Lurking Predators. First arriving in Magic 2020, then Commander 2016, and then Jumpstart. This card has had 3 prints and still sits over $10 because the card is really fucking good. People slept on Lurking Predators for the longest time, and now it's just established as a 6 mana card that is a problematic Commander table. This card will continue to have a price tag unless they print it into the ground, so it's actually a reasonable reprint, and I'm glad it's in the deck. And then we have Anointed Procession. This once upon a time was just the white and poor man's doubling season, but now it is a $44 average price for the Amonkhet printing. So that's a good chunk of change when you're thinking about how much the deck is paid for by this Anointed Procession. Like I said, I was going to buy one for Bernard's. That's what made me this morning think about buying the cat deck and a dog deck. Come into that in a second. There's not enough of the right dogs in it. Keep in mind, some of you are thinking, but Vince, it was sold out the day before, or 2 days before you recorded this. This video is going to come out a day after I recorded it, and on the morning that I recorded this, about 10 AM this morning, it was still in stock. Come midday where I'm recording this and sending it to the editor who was looking to buy it as well, we were talking about it, this is now out of stock in Europe. So Europe sold out fast, slower than America. But this is a solid reprint and a card that's going to keep its value, I think. I think the reason it's $40 right now is simply because it was not in the Enchanted Tales slot of Wilds of Eldraine, which would have crashed its price significantly. That said, Doubling Season is still $40 minimum price after being in Wilds of Eldraine, Enchanted Tales, and Commander Masters in recent time. So, but Doubling Season's a little bit better. So you would have seen a 90 procession lose 10, maybe $15 if it ended up in the Enchanted Tales slot. And then we come to the fucking mana base, which is just brutal. If you ever read down here, besides Animal Sanctuary and one singular Triome, this deck reads like a mana base for any precon, even the ones you pay $35 to $40 for, and it costs 3 times the amount. It is really funny to me to look through all the mana bases and play Spot the Triome for the deck that costs you 150 quid. Here is a shot of mana bases that John on my Discord put together as I started talking about this morning, when I was saying this mana base just fucking blows, as the mana bases in precons tend to. They're functional, but they're really lacking in just bringing down the price of Battle-Bond lands, for example, and similar stuff like that. In this example here, you can see across all these mana bases, only one of these decks will cost you £150, and that one deck has one $22 Jetmir's Garden in it. Now, the Zundersplit led heads you lose, tails I win, or heads I win, tails you lose, whatever it was. The last commander deck like this, that was $150 for a precon from Secret Lair that came with a similar value proposition. Some alt arts I'm going to talk about in a minute and some reprints. This deck came with an Academy Ruins and an Inventor's Fair, both of which at current time are $13. I think they're a bit dearer when they were printed in this. 2 really good utility lands that need more reprints to bring the price down a little bit. Pretty solid. The rest of that deck kind of sucked for reprints, although it did have a Commander's Play. And Commander's Play at time of recording is $40. Commander's Play was a pretty decent reprint in there, and probably just takes up the Anointed Procession slot. Everything else has crashed since, simply because that's just where we're at. All these cards aren't worth anything because, well, they were only worth stuff because they were currently scarce, similar to what we saw in the kind of Masters precons. I personally have an issue with any Commander precon reaching over the $50 point, unless it's like a super limited version that's an alternate art foily version. We're coming to that. So for example, the foil version of the Warhammer decks, I didn't have so much of an issue with because there's a £50 version of it available, 50-ish. The problem I have with this, and to explain it, is that I still don't believe there's anything that Wizards of the Coast should be able to put into a pre-constructed deck or product like this that could ask that price of the audience. Because essentially they're printing fucking cardboard and they acknowledge there's no secondary market. If there's no fucking secondary market, according to Wizards, how can they sell you something with so many reprints and fancy alternate arts that might cost money down the line or whatever? How can that justify this price? So for that reason, I really don't want to see deck prices creep up. However, the Commander Legends decks, I think, were more, in my opinion, or Commander Masters precons, were more egregious than this because they're on store shelves next to other card games and other Magic product in your local game store. And the reason I bring that up is with those products, it makes Magic look like the rich kids game. It makes it look like the card game that's only playable by people who've got an abundance of cash. It's really embarrassing to extrapolate that point, to see a £20 booster and a £6 booster and nothing cheaper for some sets right next to £3.50 and £4 boosters for other card games. It makes Magic look like a fucking joke. Now, there's some caveats to this as we come towards the thing of, is this deck worth it to buy? You might have gathered that I don't think it is, but there's a few more reasons on top of that which are kind of unique to me. Firstly, there are no Dachshunds, however you want to pronounce it. I don't know why I said Dachshunds. I don't think I've ever said that. There's no Dachshunds in this set. I poured over the ton of arts because I have 2 Dachshunds that are in the room with me right now. Hang on, I'll hold one up. This is Bovril. I love him. He's one of my dogs. He chews my beard. It's kind of cute, right? His breath does stink though. And here's my guard dog, Brucey. Say hello, Brucey. Yeah? He wants to go down. So I am a dog lover. Well, not specifically. I grew up with Neapolitan and Bull Mastiffs. I love all dogs, but primarily I have Dachshunds, and I think I'll have Dachshunds for the rest of my life. I love them as a breed. There's not a single fucking Dachshund on any of these cards, which is weird because they're a popular breed, and we've had them on cards in the past. So that saddened me, made me less keen to get this. Because the Secret Lair does come with some alternate arts, which we need to factor into this value proposition discussion. There are 5 cards that are flip arts, so there's 10 unique arts on these cards. Each one has like a cat focus on one side, a dog focus on the other. This is kind of part of this kind of product. We saw this this with heads I win, tails I lose, which kind of makes sense because they're flip cards. In this case, it makes sense because they're two things. I wonder if we'll keep seeing this flip card idea. Gone are the days when a card would need to have a magic back unless it was a transform card. Beyond that, there's also a plains, a mountain, and a forest, which show off cats and dogs, or dogs, cats, and dogs playing, or whatever. Either way, there's a few more alt arts, and I think when the heads I win, tails I lose. And then you get 2 of the dog cat flip tokens. These are also pretty cool. Yeah, the dog one's really cute. And the rest of the tokens are standard tokens. The lands are foil, which is interesting because some people might not want foils that are going to warp the deck. It's going to show up like this, a concave curve, isn't it? The lands are foil, those 5 arts are foil, I believe, and the rest of them aren't. And this brings an interesting point because like 5 cards in a Secret Lair would be like 20 or 30 pounds, right? So you're getting 5 cards that flip, so that's just one Secret Lair. And the land Secret Lairs are 20 or 30 pounds as well, and I've always thought they were way too expensive and not worth the price. So in reality, if you think that those alternate arts and those lands and those tokens all combined are worth a good chunk of change, over half the cost of this deck, then we're approaching the deck just being an expensive precon like the Commander Masters ones. So I get it if you like them. I was kind of considering like if this was like Warhammer or Metal Gear Solid or Star Wars or DC or any of the things I absolutely love, like if this is a Batman Secret Lair deck, for example. Oh, that's getting me hot under the collar. But if it was those things, would I see this differently because I'm more enamored by the property than dog breeds that I don't own? I guess maybe, but I'd still find it a hard pill to swallow to spend £150 on one singular pre-constructed deck. Ultimately, I just don't think this is worth it unless you really find joy in those particular arts that can shift that needle on a personal, subjective level. But ultimately, I still find it very weird and difficult to pass the idea that deck can be 80, 90, £150 compared to the 30, 40, £50 price points we've seen for Commander decks in the past, when the stuff inside is usually around the same price point. Whilst Annoying Procession is a massive reprint, we probably wouldn't see in a £40 pre-con at this point, because Wizards are clever about that sort of stuff. We would probably see 3 or 4 £10, or maybe even up to 5 £10 reprints, which kind of equates to that anyway. And the mana bases being exactly the same, just with one singular fucking triome added, is kind of like a joke. I feel like it's taking the piss. So PK's verdict is it's just not worth the money. I didn't buy it this morning and now it's out of stock. And do I feel worse now it's out of stock and the option to buy is gone? Do I feel like I missed it? No. And that's a good indication that I shouldn't have bought it. And it's also just 150 quid for one deck is insane. £150 to buy you 7 collector boosters. I'm giving these away on Whatnot. I don't normally buy them for myself. Magic is getting more and more expensive, and I just find it really frustrating to see, especially when you compare it to other card games. I've talked to players at the shop who play Pokemon who said that Magic's just too expensive for them, which is not really the case, but I absolutely understand where they get that perspective or that idea from when you look at the price of sealed products and stuff like this. But on the topic of mana bases, if you want to see another video about the new lands that are coming that I think are very good for Commander and potentially outside of Commander 2, why don't you hit this video here, where I talk about the new fetchable land-typed, come-and-play tapped Surveil lands from what's the set called? Karlov Manor? Anyway, the video's there. Click it and I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.